Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll show you how I painted the Devastator from the Core Space sci-fi miniatures game. Here's our Devastator all primed and ready to go, and in this video we're going to go for a tabletop ready standard, nice quick and easy techniques, and the idea is to look for a grungy, battle hardened finish to this awesome looking robot. To prime the model I used the Citadel colour Wraithbone contrast undercoat spray, and here's all the different paints that we're going to use in this video, and it's a mix of the shades. We're going to use mostly contrast paints, a couple of technical paints, and then also some base paints by Vallejo. The brush I use a lot is the Army Painter Wargamer character brush, but I also use the number 2 Kalinsky synthetic. Right, let's get started with the Null Oil Shade, and we're going to coat the entire model with this shade. And this is kind of one of the most important parts of getting this grungy look. And so to make him look like he's had some battle damage, I want him to look aged and worn, but I want it to be quite fast. And we're just looking for a tabletop ready standard, and I think this is a great way to achieve that. You don't have to do this if you want a more metallic look to your model, or you want him to look a lot crisper and cleaner, but for this effect then this is the first step you need to take. So we put quite a generous wash of this Null Oil, and this is like a black kind of colour. If you wanted to use an Agrax Earth shade you get more of a browny look to it, but I find this works really well for this robot because he does have a lot of black components on him, and I'm really pushing that shade into all the different grooves and making sure it gets right in there. Next we're going to use some contrast black Templar. Once that shade is completely dry you can see it's given us loads of shadow and really gone in those crevices. But now we're going to go over all the black areas and block them in using this black Templar contrast paint. I'm not going crazy with the amount of paint I've got on the brush, but you know, there's a good bit on there. It's quite full, and so it's going to really go into all the cracks and crevices, and then when that dries it's going to give us a lot deeper, darker recesses, and then the more raised areas won't have as much paint on, and so they're going to be a little bit lighter, and then that's going to give us that little level of contrast that we're looking for. Using that shade also really kind of highlighted all the different areas of the model and made it a lot easier to see where the sections join, and so it's just really taking your time picking those areas out and just knowing exactly where you're going to go before you start applying your brush and your paint, and then taking your time to go down and not go over the areas that you don't want black, because we could tidy those up but it'd be a lot easier and a lot quicker if we didn't have to. So it's definitely worth taking your time, and although we're looking for a tabletop ready standard it doesn't mean it has to be messy, so keep it nice and neat. And one of the tricks with the contrast paint is just to start and end that brush stroke where you want most of the paint to build up, and then just push and pull it around. You've got plenty of time to work with it, getting it into all the areas you want to go in, and it really loves to go into those recesses. That's what it's designed for. So you know, let it do its job, but help it along the way as much as you need to. And also just keep moving that model. You notice I'm moving the model all the time so that I'm trying to keep my hands nice and stable. I'm leaning on the table and I've got lots of control, and you know, I'm not shaking too much, and I've got a nice grip on the model too, and so that's going to allow me to use the tip of the brush then to get into all these little detailed areas without going over the lines and making it messy. So you see here doing the neck now, and then we'll give that a nice coat, really working it around, not having too much paint on the brush at this point, and again just moving that model so it makes it nice and easy. Let the model help you do the job, and you can see it's already starting to dry down there, and we're getting some nice texture from that black paint. Then I just go along these little areas where I think could do with a little bit more dark black in them, and I'm just going along really with the fine tip of the brush there, hardly any paint on the brush now, almost like a felt tip pen really, just running that tip of the brush down those little grooves, and that's going to kind of colour that in nicely, ready for when we put on the next stage, which is the Gryph Hound orange. And I've done two models. I did one orange and I did one red, so if you want to go with the orange you can use the Gryph Hound orange. I think it worked perfectly. If you want red then you can use this red here, and I think this is a great colour too. You can even layer this over the orange if you want to, but I'm just going for one coat and I chose to do this guy in orange. So here we go, I'm going all over the areas now, and I'm not worried too much about this going into those crevices that we've previously painted black, because all this is going to do, that black is going to still come through the orange, but it's going to give us an even darker recess, so it's going to work really nicely, and it's almost going to give us the idea that there's a little bit of orange in, you know, on the edges as that metal kind of bends down in towards the center of the robot. and so giving it a nice coat all over, trying to be nice and even. I'm not flooding the model and just spreading it along. Again, we've got plenty of time to work with it, so just guide it there. Nice even strokes. So we spread that paint and give it a nice even coat all over, and you can see that that wash is really coming through already, starting to make it really grungy looking, and that's what I was after. Next, it's some 0.951 white Vallejo paint, and now we're going to pick out all the little detailed areas, but we're also going to paint this head as well. So now I'm being much more careful. I'm not going right to the edges because I'm going to let some of that colour from the Wraithbone and the shade come through on the very edges of this, but I'm just going to block in these white sections of the head, being really super careful not to go over that black line and the little crevices that we've kept, that we want to keep dark and that we want that shade to show through. So just taking my time here, blocking in, and I'll do this twice. I'll give this 2 coats. In some areas you might need 3, so you wet down a tiny bit with water, but not much. And so, just see how many coats you need with the paint you're using, and then, it's going to probably be about 2. Now I'm going to put a little dot in the middle here, and we're going to use this for the little light. So this is the first stage. So we want to brighten this up as bright as we can with the white, and then we're going to go over it later with a technical paint. But I made a little bit of a mistake here. I wasn't very neat, and then I tried to tidy it up, and I made it a lot worse. And you can see I've gone over the panel of the robot there. So we're going to clean that up later, and I'll show you how easy it is to make these little mistakes and put them right. So now I'm just doing the little eye, then there's a little dot here that's going to have a little blue light later, and a little dot the other side. So I'm moving that model, being very careful, not too much paint on the brush, and just kind of dotting that on. And then in here we've got one big kind of gun laser light, so I'm doing a big dot of white in there, and that's all done. Now we're going to grab that Gryph Hound orange again, and I'm just going to tidy up that mistake I made where the white went over the panel. And you can see it literally is just going to be applying a little bit of that over it, and that's going to cover up that mistake we've made. And the next stage, we're going to take the Iyanden yellow, another great paint, and I'm going to put one nice generous blob right on that eye. And painting it white is going to make that really bright. If we did this on the dark, it just wouldn't be bright enough. Next is the Nihilakh Oxide technical paint, and this is a chalky paint that's going to give us a real glowing effect, nice and easily, for these little lights that he's got on his armour, and also for that laser gun that's in his hand. So I'm just doing a nice generous amount, and again that Nihilakh Oxide is covering up that error we made as well. So really easy to put right on these models. And then in we go, nice generous amount. That's going to dry and leave it almost like a little glow. Next, it's some 0.989 Sky Grey Vallejo, and I'm going to cover this on the entire base. And I'm not going to do anything fancy on the bases here. I really love the board that comes with this game, and so I just want these to really kind of just blend in with that board with the colour. So once I've done the top of the base, I'll take some blue tack, pop it on the end of a thick brush, and I can stick that on the blue tack, and that's going to give us a little turntable so that we can paint the edge, the little rim there of the base really easily with a nice coat. And you may find you need 2 coats of this all over, but you want to cover it up and make it nice solid colour, and that's really going to finish this model off perfectly. At that stage we're finished, and now we've got our Devastator painted to a tabletop ready standard with mostly contrast paint, real quick and easy. You almost saw it in real time, so it doesn't take long at all to get a nice simple effect on these robots here. And this grungy effect I really like, I really went for it, and that Null Oil saved a ton of time. And you can see here the difference if you want to go with red or orange, but if you wanted to go a little stage further, then you could use that red paint kind of mixed with a mixture of contrast medium, and then apply that over the orange model, and then that would give you a nice deep red, and some of that orange would come through as a highlight, so that would work really well. But here you can see I've also done all the different models from the Purge range, and again going with that grungy look using the same technique of Null Oil with the kind of contrast paint over the top of that, with the exception of the assassin that you can see on the far right, who's very clean looking. I wanted that one to stand out a little bit, be a lot crisp. I think that makes it a little bit more menacing looking. But I've done videos for all these models that you can see here, so you'll be able to watch a video for the assassin, and you can also see how I did the live one. This was nice and easy, literally just a few colours. This was probably the easiest model to paint out of them all in this method. And then also the harvesters, they came out really nice, real grungy, battle hardened look. I was really happy with those two. But all the paints I've used, I'll put down a list of them in the description below, and then I'll also put a link where you can find those, and that link will be an affiliate link to Element Games, but it won't cost you anything extra. In fact, you can save up to 20% there on all your game products, your paints, your models and miniatures, and for every sale made through a link, I get a small commission, and that's going to help me do loads more videos like this. So thanks so much for supporting me and the channel. I really appreciate it, so thank you for that. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description, and it'll be great to see you there. I hope you enjoyed this video from the Core Space series. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games.